Hi, welcome guys to another hard rock and heavy metal community video right here from the store of Rossi Audio and Bad Dog Speakers. Um, Today I'm going to take up a topic. I have been kind of busy because I was going to make a few more videos on this subject with this channel. But I've been too busy with my store and other things, so I had to take a few things and put it on the back burner for a while. And while I was going to do some topics, and I put a timeline to things, and I put things into a rotation, and I made a list of what I was going to do and topics that I was going to talk about. I kind of had to put that on the back burner and to the side because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about first. And I don't have any Nightwish CDs or albums in my store right now, but I have a Pagans Mind here, and I have all of the Pagans Mind at home. The reason I have a Pagans Mind, God's Equation CD right here now, is because I'm going to talk about a project called Northward, which is a project between Jorn Viggo from Pagans Mind and Jansen from Nightwish. And they have a project out now, like I said, called Northward. And they just today released their second single from their new project. They had previously released a single called While Love Died. And today they released a new single, their second single from their new and up and coming album that is out on October 19th, called Get What You Give. And I listened to the first single when it was released, and I was surprised by the sound and the direction they had gone, because let's face it, I'm a huge Pagans Mind fan. I play Pagans Mind every day in my car, when I have the chance at home, in my music room at home, because I have a dedicated music room where I have all my speakers, because I'm a huge Jorn Viggo fan, and I have a lot of other speakers at home. So I play a lot of music at home, and Pagans Mind and Jorn Lande is on my rotation always, along with other bands. I haven't been a big Nightwish fan, to be honest. They have some good songs, but early on when Nightwish came onto the scene and all that stuff, they didn't really grab me. And not because the music is bad. They have some good music, but there was something about the vocalists that I didn't really embrace. Okay, and when Floor joined Nightwish some years ago, I kind of was like, this is way better, but I didn't actually go out actively and buy their CDs and stuff. But I have been listening to them after Floor joined, so I felt that the quality of Nightwish stepped up like 3 or 4 notches after Floor joined, and the whole charisma of Nightwish improved. But like I said, Pagans Mind I've been a huge fan of since day one. When they released their first album in 2000, 2001, around there, I was an instant fan. And even though I felt that their first album was very good musically and lyrically, and their musicianship was like top notch, I felt that the first album Pagans Mind gave out had some production issues. The instruments were way too loud compared to the voice of the singer, so there wasn't production issues there, but the rest of the albums was mind-boggling. So when the guitar player from my favorite band, I have to say Pagans Mind has become my favorite band, and I have quite a few favorite bands, but Pagans Mind is one of them. So when the guitar player from Pagans Mind, Jorn Viggo, as the English talking world would probably say, um, joined Floor to create Northward. I was intrigued and I automatically looked into it right away. Because I was thinking like this has to be good. You have a what I would call probably in today's rock world and hard rock and metal world, probably the best female singer. And in my mind, Jorn Viggo or Jorn, is probably the best guitar player in the metal world today. I know that's a bold claim because there's a lot of good guitar players out there, and I have a long list of guitar players that I really like. But in my mind, Jorn Viggo is the best guitar player in the metal world today. There is no one that can come close. And we're not talking about being the fastest or the most flashy one. We're talking about the tone, the technique, and speed. And not to mention the all-round dynamic on how to play the notes, how to combine the riffs with solos, structure of songs, structure of riffs. When you listen to Pagan's Mind and listen to the guitar riffs, how the riffs builds up a song and breaks down a song when it goes into different phases and transitions, it is just awesome. And I mean, the guitar playing and the drumming in Pagan's Mind are so seamless and so emotional, fluidless. It goes so good together. And if you listen to other guitar players and other bands, it's almost like guitars and drums are fighting each other. Not in Pagan's Mind. And I tell you, drummers are the ones who keeps the tempo and the speed and all that in the band and kind of like keeps the band in place. So for a guitar player to keep up with that can be pretty demanding. Jorn Viggo had no problem with that, but a lot of other guitar players struggles with that in other bands. And you can even hear it on recordings. But enough about that. But so when you hear Northward, the first single that was released, While Love Died, it was like totally different from what I have heard Pagan's Mind do. And it was totally different from what I have heard Nightwish do. So it was like, the first time I heard the song, the single, I was like, it was cool, it was good. And I heard it, I played it again, and I was like, this is good. And I played it again, and I was like, shit, this is really darn good. And the more I listened to the song, the more it grew on me, and the more I liked it. And now it's like, I can't get that song out of my freaking head. So I've been like waiting for the second single to be released. And when it was released today, I was like, I just hope it's not a downfall. Because a lot of project bands, and I tell you, there's been a lot of project bands, and a lot of supergroups, and a lot of different artists from different bands joining forces and putting out stuff, and they have maybe one song that is catchy and good, and then the rest of it is just garbage, to be honest. So I had high hopes, but I also had a sneaking feeling that this could be like the downfall. So this morning when I woke up, it had already been released. I expected it to be released later in the day, but I woke up and there was a little icon on my phone because I get alerts about it. And so I went outside to do my nasty little habit in the morning, having a cigarette. And I was listening to my phone outside, and I couldn't really get a good vibe off of it because, one, I was listening to a phone outside, and there was some noises out there and stuff. So I was like, I couldn't get a grip on the song right away. And so in the car, I jumped in the car to drive my wife to work, and on the way back, I could listen to the song via my phone into my car audio via Bluetooth, and I could dial it up a little bit and listen to it a little bit louder. and get some more substance and more meat on the bone. And I have to say one thing. The first thing that struck my mind when I listened to the second single, Get What You Give. And I don't know if this is because of the bassist and the bass player, Morty Black, Morten Skage. But I was like, shit, there's something about the vibes of this song, the second single. And then it took me back to the first single, While Love Died. And let me tell you, when I heard the first single, I automatically heard, oh, that's Morty Black bass. Because I could hear it. There's certain passages in the first single. If you listen carefully, you can hear the bass in certain places of the song, and it has the signature of Morty Black. So when I heard the second single this morning on my car audio, because I could hear it louder and more clear, and I could get all the information that I wanted, I was like, there's something about this song. There's a vibe, there's a texture to this song, there's something about this song that reminds me of something. Not a copy, it's not a stolen riff or stolen lyrics or stolen tone or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But there's something about this song, Get What You Give, that gives me a vibe and gives me a feeling that it reminds me of something that I have heard before. And the more I listened to it, when it ended, because it was kind of it's kind of like a short song, right about 4 minutes. So when you listen to it, it's over. It goes so fast. And so I restarted it, and I listened to it again. And the more I listened to it, I did it again, and I did it again. And I had to stop at the post office. So I sat outside the post office, and I listened to the song for like 3 or 4 times before I went inside. And I was like, yeah, and a light bulb went off, and I now get it. I know where this vibe is coming from. And so while I was sitting there, I put Get What You Give on pause, and I looked up another group and another album that was released in the mid to late 90s, and I think it was, and the album is called Transistor, and it was released by a Norwegian band called TNT. And guess who the bassist was in that band? Morty Black. The singer was Tony Harnell. The guitar player is Ronnie Lee Tiekra. And some of the passages and some of the songs and some of the vibe on that record, Transistor, reminds me of the song Get What You Give. But not completely. Just bits and pieces here and there, of course. But it was like, there's something else. And then it hit me again. So I put on another TNT record from the second half of the 90s called Firefly. Also with Morty Black on bass. Also with Tony Harnell on vocals. And Ronnie Lee Tiekra on guitar. And there's certain songs on that record as well, and certain passages and certain snippets out of certain songs that has the same vibe, and certain songs that in certain parts of the songs and stuff that has kind of like the same feel to it. So I kind of like, I have heard this before in a way. There's certain things about the structure of the song, the build up. I don't know, it's because of the Nordic influence, because of Jorn Viggo love stuff, and you know, Floor is from Netherlands, so it's kind of like Northern Europe. So I don't know if it's kind of like because of some Northern Europe and Scandinavian thing, and having Morty Black on bass, maybe you get that feeling because of the bass playing. But it has that vibe. Especially the second single, has this vibe that took me back to Transistor and Firefly from TNT. There's certain, Not the whole songs or anything like that, but there's snippets here and there, and pieces of songs here and there, and passages in songs, and there's certain things. There can be certain like small things here and there, 5-10 seconds or something like that. So that's, to me, that's cool, because here's why. Both Transistor and Firefly from TNT was very underrated and very overlooked albums. The two most overlooked and underrated albums in TNT's history. But there were two of the best ones in my mind, beside a few others. But enough about TNT. But I bring it up because Morty Black, back then, was a very, very important factor of TNT. And when he left TNT, I kind of felt like TNT slowly died. I'm very, very happy, and I have to say this. Northward to me is more than just Jorn Viggo love stuff and Floor Jansen. I am very happy that they brought on Morty Black. Morty Black to me is one of the best bass players in the world, and he has always been. And I feel that bass players always get the least amount of attention in bands every time. I don't care who you are, except for maybe Motley Crue with Nicky Sixx, who is one of the front figures in that band because he's the boss. And Geddy Lee in Rush. But most of the time in bands, bass players are very overlooked. But many times they set the tone in a band. And this is why I bring it up in this single. Because Get What You Give and While Love Died has Morty Black's signature all over it. Especially While Love Died. You can hear it. Morty Black is all over that song. And that's why I bring it up, because I think he deserves to be mentioned. Now, what do I think about the songs? One, While Love Died, because that was the first single released. If I was going to rate that song on a scale, let's say we roll the dice. I know dice has like 1 to 6, and 6 is the best. If I'm going to roll the dice on it, I'll give it a 5. The only reason I give it a 5 is because I feel that it has everything a song needs. I just feel that it goes too fast. Not fast playing, but once you put it on, it's over. It's one of those songs that are made so good that when you start listening to it, it's over. And I feel the guitar solo could have been longer. But I know this is like stupid things. I wanted more. I wanted more out of that song because it's so darn good. I wanted more out of it. So, just because they're teasing you, I give it a 5, 5.5. The second song, Get What You Give, I haven't had the time to listen to it completely yet. I'm going to put it on my store here with the big speakers in the back here and listen to it again. So if I'm going to roll the dice on Get What You Give, I have to say, I'll give that one a 5, 5.5 as well. It's a very good song, very good structures, very good build-ups. It's a very different song because it doesn't have that typical Jorn Viggo loves a guitar solo in it. It has a very soft, gentle solo. Almost, it's an electric guitar solo, but it almost sounds like an acoustic one. I love that, but I think the solo is too short. And I think the song is too short. The solo could have been 10-15 seconds longer, which would have made the song a little bit longer. 4-minute song. I like the song. I would have liked the song to be a little bit longer. You put the song on and it's over. It makes you longing for more. But of course, when you get the whole album, so the song is 4 minutes, but so you have the album, so you have more songs to listen to. So I understand that. But it's like, you sit there and you listen to good songs and they're over. And it's almost like you go like, damn it, it's all over. But I wish he had made the solo 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds longer. Because it's a darn good solo. Even though it sounds almost like acoustic. But I think it's electric. It sounds electric, but it's like kind of like have the acoustic vibe. So what do 5.5 mean in my world? It means almost freaking perfect. And think about this. From what I have read, it says that they wrote these songs back in 2008. You have to consider this. When artists write songs, they write songs from their state of mind in that moment. And we're talking about a 10-year span since they wrote the songs. And they don't feel dated at all. These songs do not feel dated, and they were written 10 years ago. They were written when they were in their state of mind 10 years ago. They could have easily been felt like dated because of the influences that these songwriters had back then. But no, these songs do not feel dated at all. So if the rest of the album that comes out on October 19th is up to this standard as these two singles are, we are in for a treat. And I urge everyone to go out and buy this album and support this band or this project, because it's really not a band, it's more like a project. Now, I wish, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, I wish they would do some shows. Bring on Morty Black. I wish Floor and Jorn could do some shows and bring Morty Black and Stian Kristofferson on drums and do some shows here and there. Maybe I can only hope for them to come to the United States, but that will be too much to hope for. But even if they did some shows in like Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, you know, just to do Europe, around where they live. But I know that's maybe a big stretch, because I know Pagans Mind is recording new material. I have heard that Nightwish is going into the studio by the end of the year, and Nightwish is probably going to do some touring next year. Pagans Mind probably has some more on the go. I know Nils is doing some side project with Tron Holter, with the Dracula theme, and Vlad the Impaler. So I know that the schedule for most of these guys are very, very tight, so I don't think there will be any shows, but we can only wish and hope. Maybe they do 2 or 3 shows, maybe 4 shows, but who knows. But I have one thing that will be freaking cool. So if the management for Nightwish and the management for Pagans Mind, or Pagans Mind or Nightwish himself, ever cross path with this video, here's an idea for you guys. If Nightwish ever goes on a world tour soon, bring Pagans Mind with you as an opening act on a world tour and join forces. I tell you, that would be the tour of the century. It will be for sure the tour of the decade, but it would be the tour of the century. Pagans Mind opening for Nightwish on a world tour? Are you freaking kidding me? You get 2 fantastic bands that would knock the socks off every freaking fan and every freaking critic out there. And you would really do some kick ass. Trust me, that would be the one concert to go and see. I know that Nightwish probably would be the one that draw the bigger crowd, but there would be a lot of Nightwish fans out there who have never heard of Pagans Mind, who would be mind blown when they hear this band. And a lot of Nightwish fans would thank Nightwish for bringing this band with you as an opening act. And that would put Pagans Mind on the map worldwide once and for all, which they freaking deserve, because this is one of the greatest progressive, hard rock, heavy metal, power metal, whatever kind of genre metal you want to put them in, bands in the freaking world. If anyone out there wants to find out what Pagans Mind is all about, go on YouTube and start looking and start listening. If you're ready to get mind blown, Pagans Mind. So that's what I had for you guys today. And I mean, Northward, what a freaking project. I can't wait for October 19th to come around. The only problem is, it's a month. Jeez, we have to wait a month to get the album. So I hope you guys have pre-ordered the album. I'm gonna put some link in the description below to their websites and to where you can go and pre-order, just to help these guys out. That's at least what I can do. And don't forget that Northward is more than just Jorn Viggo or Jorn Viggo and Jansen. It is Morty Black as well, and the other session players that they use. But keep in mind, Morty Black is a big factor in this. So this project is a good project, and I hope that this is not a one-off. I hope there's more coming. So who knows, maybe next year, another album? Another album next year? Well, since Nightwish is going on tour, maybe not, but another album later on? Thank you.